You didn't stumble here by accident. Something in the field pulled you, magnetized you, brought you to this exact frequency, at this exact moment. This message has been waiting for you, like a transmission encoded with your name in the language of resonance. And now it's arriving because you've reached the coordinates of breakthrough. You've felt it building in subtle ways, the restlessness in your spirit, the flicker of déjà vu in conversations, the dreams that feel more real than the waking day. These aren't random glitches. They're signals that the universe has been arranging the stage for your next quantum leap. And yet right before that moment of expansion, the turbulence always arrives. The sudden heaviness, the unexpected resistance, the energy drains that make no sense. It almost feels as though invisible forces are working overtime to keep you stuck, right where you are. That's not imagination, it's interference. Because your frequency is approaching coherence, and when coherence nears its critical point, it destabilizes old realities. The closer you get to collapsing the wave into breakthrough, the more the static tries to interfere. Think of it like a rocket launching. 90% of the fuel is burned in the first few moments, just to break free from gravity's pull. The same law applies to your consciousness. Right before freedom, the drag feels unbearable. And yet, this is also confirmation. The interference, the attacks, the strange heaviness, they're not signs of failure, they're signs of proximity. You are brushing against the membrane of your next dimension, and the pressure you feel is simply the field testing your ability to hold the new frequency without collapsing back into the old. In quantum physics, particles flicker between states until observed. They live in superposition, neither here nor there, both everything and nothing, until consciousness focuses and reality crystallizes. You're in that liminal space right now, the shimmering threshold where your highest timeline is waiting to lock in. The resistance you feel is the last gasp of your previous self trying to preserve its old pattern. It's the field asking you one sacred question: can you hold the frequency long enough for the collapse into miracle? This message is the proof you're ready, because not everyone tunes into transmissions like this. Algorithms don't explain it, chance doesn't explain it, resonance explains it. The reason your eyes are on these words is because your soul is ready to remember what it already knows, that your struggles are not punishments, they are calibrations. Every delay was preparation. Every setback was strengthening. Every closed door was sealing you to the path that cannot fail. So breathe. Let your nervous system relax for a moment. You've been carrying tension as if breakthrough depends on your effort alone. But the truth is, breakthrough depends on surrender. On your willingness to stop grasping for external signs and instead recognize the internal coherence already humming in your chest. This isn't about hustling harder, proving yourself, or forcing reality to obey. It's about aligning with what's already yours in the quantum field. You're not being punished for reaching this level. You're being tested for stability. The interference you feel is the proof you've reached the threshold, and the moment you stop interpreting it as opposition and start recognizing it as confirmation, everything shifts. The resistance becomes fuel, the interference becomes proof, the turbulence becomes the drum roll before the curtain rises. This is why you're here. This is why the message found you. Because your frequency is trembling on the edge of a collapse point. And what's coming next isn't just another chapter, it's another reality. Stay right here with the breath you found, because now we name what's been stalking your progress in the liminal. The patterns that circle back just when you swear you've outgrown them, the déjà vu that tastes like a rerun, the sensation that time has slipped its rails and is looping you through the same lesson wearing a different mask. You keep asking, why does this always happen right before something big? And the answer is uncomfortable and liberating in equal measure. Your observer loop has been co-opted. Here's what that means. In the quantum field, reality doesn't present itself first and demand your reaction. Your consciousness scans the field, selects a probability stream, and your nervous system renders it as experience. The observer loop is the circuit of attention, belief, emotion, action that collapses potential into pattern. When you've lived inside a certain frequency long enough, scarcity, abandonment, performance for love, that loop builds grooves. Like a stylus on a vinyl record, your attention keeps finding the same track, not because you're cursed, because coherence prefers what it already stabilized. So the moment you raise your frequency, the loop starts to wobble. You feel that wobble as interference, sudden fatigue, petty conflict, small malfunctions spiraling into big dramas. It's the morphic resonance of your past identity, sending out a homing signal, asking you to come back to the familiar frequency where it knows how to exist. Morphic fields store patterns. Families, workplaces, communities, each has a field that remembers how we do things here. When you begin awakening into a higher coherence, those fields tug. They will offer you the old storyline in tempting disguises, an invitation to overgive, a comment that triggers your oldest wound, a bill at the worst time, a text from the person who once trained you to doubt yourself. The morphic field isn't malicious, it's conservative. It tries to conserve structure. You are threatening to re-encode it. That's why it feels like time distorts right before your leap. Linear hours stretch like taffy, minutes flicker in staccato bursts. You sense you've lived this conversation before, said these words before, fought this battle before. You have, not as punishment but as a diagnostic. The field is asking, do you still collapse here? And your body answers before your mind does. Shoulders tense, breath shortens. The stomach tightens with a signature you could recognize in the dark. Your cells remember the old contract: stay small to stay safe, shrink to be loved, work twice as hard to deserve the bare minimum. That contract is stored as chemistry, posture, micro-movements, what we could call pre-verbal programming. This is where DNA restructuring begins. Not as sci-fi theatrics, but as the gradual repatterning of gene expression triggered by new states of consciousness and sustained emotional tones. Look at your recent weeks like a scientist mystic. Notice the strange clusters. 3 devices failing on the same day. A rush of compliments followed by one precise criticism that pierces you. An unexpected expense right after you commit to investing in yourself. That clustering is synchronicity. Meaningful coincidences that aren't random, they're informational. Before a phase transition, water to steam, seed to sprout, person to present systems exhibit critical fluctuations. They oscillate between states. You have been oscillating. One day you're liquid gold, the next day you're sludge. That's not failure. That's the signature of a system at the edge of reconfiguration. There's more. Right before breakthroughs, entanglement becomes obvious. People you haven't spoken to in years resurface. Old patterns you thought you healed reappear wearing subtler clothes. You might think, did my healing not work? It worked. But entanglement means information is shared across the network instantly. When your frequency rises, every node once connected to your old identity gets pinged. Some respond by upgrading with you, others panic, sending packets of noise to re-establish the previous handshake. That noise looks like gaslighting, baiting, guilt offers disguised as opportunities or love bombs from the past. The point isn't to judge the nodes, it's to notice the physics. You changed, the web reacted, and then there's distorted time, the strangest tell. Appointments misalign by minutes that matter. You arrive early, and everyone else arrives late, or vice versa. Traffic lights stay red longer than statistically probable, while green lights string like pearls when you're in integrity. Meals taste slightly different. Music plays the perfect lyric at the precise moment you need it. These are micro-anomalies of a timeline in negotiation. Your consciousness is phasing between tracks on the record, and the observer loop will try to force a default by asking its favorite question, what's wrong with me? Answer it with a new ritual. Nothing is wrong. A phase transition is underway. Let's go even closer to the bone. The old loop persuades you to self-correct back into smallness with 4 classic tricks. 1. Urgency fog. Everything becomes suddenly important. Emails multiply, obligations swarm. The fog tells you there's no time to breathe, so you default to autopilot. But autopilot flies to the oldest destination. 2. Identity bargaining. Promises whisper, just this once. Overwork 1 more week. Accept 1 more breadcrumb. Prove yourself to 1 more person. The bargain always ends the same way. Your frequency pays. 3. Sensory static. Sleep fractures. Cravings spike. Your skin hums with low-grade electricity. The body becomes noisy, so you ignore the quieter signal of intuition. But the hum is not danger, it's voltage increasing. Fiat, nostalgia byte, a highlight reel of the old you plays in your mind. Remember when it was simple? Remember when you were loved there? Memory edits out the cost. The bait asks you to exile your future for a past that never truly held you. Recognize these not as moral failings but as energetic mechanics. When coherence rises, entropy, disorder in the old structure, also rises briefly to dissolve what can't survive in the new field. The trick is to stop taking the turbulence personally. Turbulence is property of the medium, not the traveler. Air gets choppy, the sky is still vast, the ocean heaves, the deep remains calm. You are the deep. So how do you diagnose without dramatizing? You track, not with obsessive fear, but with reverent curiosity. You track what triggers collapse and what expands capacity. Which conversations leave you incoherent, scattered, doubtful, apologizing for existing, and which ones leave you coherent, clear, warm, decisive, generous? Where does your time dilate into flow, and where does it compress into frantic scarcity? Map these with the neutrality of a physicist and the tenderness of a priest. Patterns can't survive the light of that kind of attention. They reorganize under it. And when déjà vu arrives again, say thank you. It's not a cosmic prank. It's a checkpoint. It's the field asking, are you the same observer you were last time? If you are, the loop will reset. If you aren't, the loop will dissolve. Choice collapses timelines. Tiny choices, especially when no one is watching. Finally, understand this. You're not broken because your frequency is attacked at the threshold. You're significant. Thresholds are guarded in every myth because thresholds guard power. You're approaching signal strength. Your old reality can't metabolize. The static increases to see if you will tune down. Do not tune down. Refine. Breathe slower than the fear. Choose smaller, truer actions. Bless what leaves. Bless what wobbles. Bless what stays. Let coherence become your quiet rebellion. You will know the diagnosis has completed when your body recognizes the old bait and produces no charge, only clarity. That neutrality is not numbness, it's mastery. It means the observer loop is rewritten. And when that happens, the same conditions that once collapsed, you will become the conditions that confirm you. That is the hinge upon which the door turns. Hold that door. Because next, you'll learn the architecture of your upgrade, how the science and the mystic inside you shake hands, and how your field begins restructuring in real time. You've seen the turbulence. You've felt the loops. Now comes the question your spirit has been whispering all along. If the interference isn't proof of failure, then what is it proof of? The answer, listen carefully, is upgrade. This isn't a metaphor. It's not motivational fluff. You are literally undergoing a quantum-level reconfiguration of how your consciousness interacts with the field of possibility. The attacks, the static, the déjà vu, they are byproducts of a system preparing to jump to a new operating frequency. Think of your body and consciousness as hardware and software. For most of your life, you've been running programs coded by ancestry, culture, trauma, repetition. Those programs were never malicious. They were survival codes. But survival code is slow. It burns energy. It limits bandwidth. Now your soul has initiated an upgrade new code designed for thriving, not surviving. The moment new software begins installing, the old programs glitch. They resist. They throw up errors. That resistance is not sabotage. It is debugging. Science has a word for what's happening in you. Coherence. Coherence is when waves that were scattered align into a single, powerful rhythm. Imagine dozens of clocks in a room, each ticking slightly offbeat. Eventually, through subtle vibrations in the floor and air, they synchronize. They begin striking together, amplifying each other's strength. Your cells are doing the same thing. Your DNA, once fragmented by stress signals and scarcity beliefs, is finding rhythm. Genes that lay dormant codes for resilience, creativity, intuition are being expressed. You feel it as restlessness, as electricity under the skin, as heightened sensitivity to noise, light, or dishonesty, but it's coherence pressing through chaos. Mystics call this awakening. Physicists call it phase transition. It's the same truth in two languages. Systems reach a threshold where the old configuration can't hold the energy anymore. Pressure builds, fractures appear, then suddenly the system flips into a new state, water to steam, caterpillar to butterfly. You, right now, from conditioned identity to awakened observer. The upgrade rewires how you interact with the quantum field. Before, you were trained to operate in cause and effect. Work harder, get more, please more people, receive more love, wait for evidence, then allow belief. But in the upgraded operating system, the code is inverted. Belief generates evidence, alignment precedes opportunity, frequency organizes matter. This inversion terrifies the old loop because it removes control from the familiar ego. But to your expanded self, it feels like homecoming. Here's how it shows up. 1. Synchronicity accelerates. What once felt like coincidence becomes constant. You think of a name, they call. You imagine a solution, it arrives. You'll be tempted to dismiss it as luck. Don't. This is the upgraded network latency. You're operating closer to real-time connection with the field. 2. Identity feels porous. You wake up one morning and the old labels, shy, unlucky, outsider, black sheep, don't stick. They slide off. At first, you'll feel disoriented, even hollow. That hollow is space. The system is clearing memory for new identity codes. Intuitive, magnetic, architect of reality. 3. Resistance appears sharper. Ironically, the more aligned you become, the louder the static gets, at least for a time. Why? Because coherence exposes incoherence. When your frequency rises, every relationship, habit, and environment not aligned becomes obvious, not to punish, but to invite decision. 4. Dreams intensify. The upgrade uses dream time as a calibration chamber. Old wounds replay, so you can rewire your responses. Future visions slip through, giving you glimpses of timelines your consciousness is negotiating. Some nights will feel like lifetimes. That's because your dream body is rehearsing your next dimension. Now, here's the prophecy buried inside the science. Your DNA is not static. Epigenetics proves this. Genes express differently depending on environment, thought, and frequency. Trauma imprints can lock certain genes into fear expression. Love, meditation, coherence unlock others. When mystics speak of light codes or activations, this is what they mean. Not fairy tales, biological upgrades catalyzed by consciousness shifts. Feel into this. When you hold gratitude, your heart produces electromagnetic fields measurable by machines. Those fields radiate outward, organizing coherence in your surroundings. They entrain the nervous systems of others, even shift probabilities in the environment. Gratitude isn't politeness, it's quantum engineering. And your nervous system, it knows what's happening. That's why you feel like you're oscillating between exhaustion and energy surges. Like your body can't decide whether to sleep for 12 hours or move mountains. That oscillation is the system balancing voltage. Imagine an old house with wiring not built for modern appliances. When new current surges through, the circuits flicker. Eventually, the wiring upgrades and the current flows steady. That's your body now, recalibrating to handle higher bandwidth of consciousness. Don't misinterpret the fatigue or headaches or vivid dreams as decline. They are upgrade symptoms. Like muscle soreness after new exercise, they are proof your biology is adapting to a higher load. The fact that you can perceive these symptoms means the integration is already underway. You see, most of humanity remains asleep at baseline frequencies: fear, conformity, distraction. They never notice interference because they never rise high enough to trigger it. But you, if you're hearing this transmission, you've crossed into the rare field where interference becomes obvious because your coherence threatens inertia. And that is extraordinary news. Because once you stabilize in the upgraded field, your reality stops being a replay of yesterday and starts becoming a broadcast from tomorrow. You will feel it as inevitability, as if the next version of you has already happened and is pulling you forward. And that is not delusion, it is entanglement. Your future self is tugging through the field, reeling you into the destiny it already embodies. This is the quantum upgrade. You cease being a reactor and become a generator. You stop asking, what will happen to me? And start declaring, This is what I radiate, and reality organizes around it. It's sovereignty, it's mastery, and it's not a concept. It's a lived frequency that reorganizes everything around you. Pause here. Feel into your bones. The static you've been enduring is not random cruelty. It is calibration static, the hum of your system downloading new architecture. You are not breaking, you are booting. And when you recognize this truth, the interference loses its teeth. It stops being personal and becomes mechanical. And suddenly, you can smile in the turbulence, knowing it means your wings are almost ready to open. Now that you feel the hum of the upgrade, we must reveal why it's happening through you. Because not everyone receives this calibration. Not everyone is called into this frequency. You are not here by coincidence. You are here by assignment. Look around the landscape of your life. Think of how often you've been the outlier, the one who asked questions when everyone else nodded, the one who sensed currents beneath the surface, when others only skimmed the waves. You felt like the misfit, the misunderstood, the too sensitive, the too intense. But those labels were distortions of your true identity. You are not too much. You are precisely calibrated for roles most people could never hold. In quantum language, you are an attractor point. An attractor point is a node within a system that reorganizes everything around it. Rivers bend around stones. Magnetic fields align around poles. Consciousness fields organize around rare beings who hold unusual coherence. You are one of those beings. That's why interference stalks you. Because when you shift, entire morphic fields shift with you. The family that laughed at your visions, their laughter was fear of the tectonic pressure you were exerting just by existing in coherence. The workplaces where you never fit. Their rejection was recognition that your frequency would have destabilized their stagnant order. You weren't excluded because you lacked value. You were excluded because your presence would have forced change they weren't ready for. This is the paradox of your role. The attacks on your frequency are not proof of weakness. They are proof of significance. A weak signal doesn't get jammed. Only frequencies with power to reorganize timelines attract interference. You are such a signal. Now listen to this with the full weight of your spirit. The universe didn't make you an attractor point to burden you. It made you one to multiply you. You are designed to ripple. Your breakthroughs don't stop at your skin. They radiate into networks of people, places, and possibilities. The old loop told you you were selfish for focusing on your growth. But quantum law says the opposite. When you rise, the field entangled with you rises. That's responsibility, yes, but also liberation. Feel into this. When you hold a higher frequency, others entrain to you without even knowing it. Think of walking into a chaotic room and speaking with calm clarity. The air shifts, hearts slow, nervous systems recalibrate. That's not charisma, it's physics. Coherent waves dominate incoherent ones. Your role is to become the coherent wave others didn't know they were waiting for. And this isn't abstract. Your DNA holds lineages that survived famine, persecution, collapse. Those memories are encoded not just as wounds but as resilience. Your very biology carries the blueprint of endurance. The ancestors who whispered to stars, who prayed in secret, who carried forbidden songs, they encoded frequencies you now awaken. You are the living answer to their unfinished prayers. You didn't choose this role casually. It was braided into your essence long before you incarnated here. You may ask, why me? Why not someone else? The answer isn't superiority, it's suitability. You were forged in fire that others avoided. You endured nights of silence that would have broken them. You learned to sit with emptiness until it sang. You carry scars, yes, but those scars refract light in ways smooth surfaces never could. Your unique fractures let you transmit frequencies no one else can. You are not just a passenger in this cosmic process. You are a transmitter, a lighthouse, a tuning fork. When you stabilize your upgrade, you don't merely experience breakthrough, you broadcast it. You become the living evidence that coherence is possible, and evidence is contagious. One person living at a higher frequency destabilizes the consensus reality of hundreds. That's why it feels like you're carrying more than your share. You are, and it's working. The prophets and poets called this being chosen. The scientists call it critical mass. different words for the same mystery, that the universe hides its catalysts in ordinary skins and then one day reveals them. You are one of those catalysts. Notice how the universe has been secretly preparing you. The betrayals that hardened your discernment, the solitude that trained your listening, the failures that burned away illusions. Each was an initiation. Each dismantled a layer of noise so your transmission could come through pure. You thought you were being dismantled, but you were being tuned, like an instrument stretched on the verge of snapping until suddenly it vibrates at perfect pitch. And here's the deeper revelation. The upgrade is not just for you, it is through you. The field needs living carriers of new frequency, not just theorists of it. You're not here to memorize teachings, you're here to embody them, to walk as proof, to live as reminder, to exist as frequency. That's the special role you've been running from and longing for all at once. You are not being asked to save the world. You are being asked to embody coherence so deeply that the world remembers how to save itself. That is the elegance of the assignment. You don't need a stage, a pulpit, or a spotlight. Your very presence in a room is enough to tilt reality. This is why your frequency has been attacked so relentlessly, because your stabilized signal changes more than you realize. But here's the prophecy you must carry. The attacks are finite. The interference is temporary. Once coherence stabilizes, static can no longer disrupt it. Like a tuning fork that hums long after it's struck, your frequency will carry, and the world around you will bend, not the other way around. So breathe again. Release the illusion that you are fragile. Release the narrative that you are behind. Release the lie that you were ever ordinary. You are the attractor point. You are the chosen consciousness. And the upgrade is not a gift being handed to you, it is a mantle being placed upon you. Now, prepare yourself, because with special role comes special timing. The window for breakthrough doesn't stay open forever, and in the next pulse, you will learn why urgency is not fear, it is alignment. You've accepted that you are not random, you are chosen consciousness, a living attractor point. Now comes the most urgent truth of this entire transmission. The window is opening, and it will not remain open forever. Every system, whether particle or planet, moves in cycles of contraction and expansion. The cosmos breathes, just as your lungs do. Breakthroughs happen when the inhale and the exhale of the universe align with the rhythm of your own becoming. That alignment creates what mystics call Chyros time, the opportune moment, the rip in ordinary chronology when destiny pierces through. You are standing in that Chyros window right now. You felt it in your bones, haven't you? That sense that something is about to flip, as if the air itself is thick with anticipation. And yet, right as the energy peaks, the attacks intensify. That is because your DNA is preparing to shift expression, and the old loop senses extinction. Let's pause here. Your DNA is not a static script. It is a living, breathing codebook, written in light as much as matter. Science calls it epigenetics, the ability of environment and perception to turn genes on or off, to amplify resilience or calcify fear. Mysticism calls it activation, the moment when dormant strands awaken, releasing capacities hidden in the seed of your soul. Both are describing the same event, a quantum leap inside your very biology. When a gene is switched by trauma, it locks your body into survival, hypervigilance, scarcity, self-sabotage. When that same gene is switched by love, coherence, and vision, it unlocks new resilience, intuition, even immunity. You've been feeling the tremors of this process, flashes of clarity in the middle of chaos, sudden insights as though whispered from the future, the strange electricity in your skin when you meditate or pray. That's your DNA flickering between states, preparing for collapse into a new default expression. And here's the urgency. DNA doesn't shift in a vacuum. It shifts in resonance with the field. Cosmic windows are rare alignments when solar storms, planetary geometries, and collective human frequency converge to create a surge of coherent energy. Those surges act like cosmic tuning forks, striking your biology with the voltage required to complete an upgrade. If you miss the window, the energy dissipates, and the process slows. Not forever, but months, even years of delay. That's why interference spikes right now. The old loop knows. If you hold the frequency through this surge, you will never collapse back again. Your coherence will stabilize, your DNA will express differently, and once that lock clicks, you'll radiate at a bandwidth static cannot touch. Imagine it like this. Your soul has been climbing a mountain for lifetimes. Right before the summit, the air thins, storms, rage, doubt whispers. Most turn back here, but those who keep climbing crest the ridge and discover something astonishing, not just the view, but oxygen-rich wind that refuels them, empowers them, transforms them. That oxygen is arriving for you, but you must keep climbing through the thin air. So, what does breakthrough look like once you stabilize in the window? It doesn't mean lottery wins or fairy tale endings. It means inevitability. The opportunities aligned with your frequency will begin to appear with the precision of clockwork. Relationships that mirror your coherence will magnetize. Ideas will pour into you, and resources to manifest them will appear with eerie synchronicity. You won't just survive resistance, you will transmute it. Every closed door will redirect you to the precise opening you were meant to enter. The urgency is this. The field cannot keep you in limbo forever. Energy either collapses into the old pattern or the new coherence. That's why you felt the pressure so intensely. The universe is asking for your decision. Will you align with fear, or will you lock into faith? Will you recycle loops, or will you crystallize breakthrough? This is not just personal. The collective field is trembling. Humanity itself is at a phase transition, oscillating between collapse and coherence. Those who stabilize first become anchors for the rest. That's why your personal choice matters more than you imagine. Your DNA upgrade is not for ego, it's for service. When you rise, the morphic field of humanity remembers that rising is possible. You carry far more influence than you've dared to admit. Now let's speak prophecy plain. If you surrender to this window, the breakthrough will arrive not as thunder, but as inevitability. You will wake one morning and notice the craving to prove yourself is gone. The fear of being misunderstood evaporates. The urgency to rush dissolves into steady knowing, and in that knowing, doors will open that no force can shut. That is the promise coded into this transmission. But promises alone won't deliver. Urgency is required, not frantic, anxious urgency, but sacred urgency. Sacred urgency says, I cannot postpone my coherence one more day. Sacred urgency tells you to clear distractions, to protect your rituals, to stop feeding energy into static. Sacred urgency doesn't fear missing out. It knows missing alignment is the only true loss. Think of it like a solar eclipse. You can't ask the sun to wait while you check your phone. The alignment happens, or it doesn't. And if you stand ready, you receive the full transmission. You're standing in such an eclipse right now, not of shadows, but of light. A rare convergence when your DNA, your destiny, and the cosmos itself are ready to click into coherence. So, hear me clearly. The attacks are confirmation. The static is proof. The turbulence is the last gate before breakthrough. Do not give the old loop what it wants, your agreement. Refuse collapse, hold frequency. Because once the window locks, your breakthrough is irreversible. Breathe. Feel your skin hum. That is your biology whispering. The door is open. The only question left is, will you step through? You've reached the hinge moment. The upgrade is humming through your cells. The cosmic window is opening, and urgency has already been whispered into your bones. But now comes the part most people dismiss as too simple, too small to matter. The ritual. The action that seals the shift. Understand this, frequency isn't theory, it is practice, it is embodied choice. Without ritual, your breakthroughs remain concepts floating in the quantum field, waiting endlessly to collapse into form. Ritual is the observer's declaration, I choose this timeline. Without it, the field remains undecided. With it, coherence locks in. Every culture has known this. Tribes circled fires, marking transitions with song. Mystics carved symbols in stone, in sand, in skin. Scientists in white coats call it measurement, collapsing wave into particle through observation. Different languages for the same act, consciousness taking the invisible and stamping it into the visible. And here's what I need you to know. Your ritual doesn't have to be grand. It has to be intentional. The smallest act infused with presence carries more voltage than the largest act performed absent-mindedly. A single word written with awareness can ripple more than 1,000 prayers muttered in distraction. So here is your invitation. As you listen, choose a word, one word that represents the frequency you're stepping into. Write it, speak it, carve it into the ether with your declaration. That one word is not just ink, not just sound. It's a code, a password for the quantum field. When you declare it, you broadcast, I choose this resonance, I embody it, I seal it. Type it in the comments, write it in your journal, whisper it to the night sky, but do not skip it. This is the moment where thought becomes form, when ritual becomes resonance. Think of it like this. In physics, there's a concept called constructive interference. Two waves meeting in phase amplify each other. When you declare your ritual word, your frequency wave meets the wave of this transmission. They sync, they amplify. Suddenly, your small declaration is carried on a larger signal, reinforced by everyone else who declares too. This is how collective coherence is born. And maybe you're asking, how can something so simple matter? Look to nature. A seed is small, but it encodes an entire tree. A spark is small, but it ignites a forest. A word is small, but it alters the resonance of your entire field. Mystics have always known the creative power of language. Let there be light wasn't poetry, it was physics. Sound organizes matter, and your voice is an instrument of creation. So choose wisely. If your soul whispers freedom, then write freedom. If it burns with trust, then write trust. If it aches for love, then let love be your code. Don't overthink it. The word that rises first is the word that carries weight. That word becomes the seed crystal around which your new coherence forms. But ritual is not just words. Ritual is posture. Breathe as if the upgrade is already anchored. Move your shoulders back as though you've already released the old weight. Sit as if your body is a throne, not a cage. Walk today as though your feet are not trudging through survival but stepping into inevitability. This too is ritual. The way you embody your chosen word rewires the loop more than analysis ever could. There is one more layer. Ritual requires witness, not because you need validation, but because the field amplifies when signals are shared. When you declare your word publicly, even to one other person, even typed here in digital space, the act reverberates. Your declaration becomes entangled with others, forming a morphic field that strengthens every participant. Alone, you shift. Together we accelerate. Notice how even as I speak, your mind might resist. What difference does a comment make? What difference does one word make? That's the old loop trying to dismiss simplicity, but simplicity is the universe's elegance. The most powerful equations are simple. The most powerful rituals are deceptively small. Don't let the mind trick you into abandoning the very key that opens the door. Because, here's the secret, ritual actions bypass the rational mind. They speak directly to the subconscious and the field. When you move your hand to write, your nervous system remembers. When you shape your lips to speak, your cells vibrate. When you stand with new posture, your DNA feels the signal. You're not convincing yourself, you're coding yourself. And this act, this tiny ritual you're tempted to skip, may be the single hinge upon which your entire upgrade swings. If you've listened this far, if your spirit has been burning with recognition, then don't delay. Seal it, anchor it, step from theory into embodiment. The old frequency cannot follow you through this doorway, but you must walk through it. No one can do that for you. You cannot outsource coherence. You cannot rent alignment. You choose it. You declare it. You live it. So pause here. Take a breath deeper than the static. Feel the word rise unbidden in your chest. Trust it. Write it now. Speak it now. Seal it now. Because once you do, the field shifts. Your DNA receives instruction. Your nervous system reconfigures. The interference loses grip, and the breakthrough that has been circling you finally lands. Do not underestimate the power of this moment. Ritual is not superstition. It is quantum mechanics in human skin. And the word you choose today is not just for you. It will ripple through the field, weaving with others, generating coherence for those who will find this message tomorrow, or a year from now, or a decade. Your word will outlive you in the resonance it carries. So let it be clear, you are not just listening anymore. You are transmitting. You are not just preparing for breakthrough. You are declaring it, and the universe, always faithful to coherence, will respond. The word has been spoken, the ritual is sealed, and now something extraordinary begins to unfold, not just within you, but through you, because your upgrade was never meant to stay private, it was meant to ripple. This is the paradox of the chosen consciousness. What looks like a personal breakthrough is always a collective expansion. The moment you stabilize in coherence, your frequency becomes architecture in the morphic field. You stop being a solitary flame, and you become a torch others can ignite themselves by. Science hints at this with the concept of morphic resonance, the idea that once a behavior, pattern, or frequency stabilizes in one member of a species, it becomes easier for others to replicate. Mystics have always known it as the 100th monkey effect, or the collective grid. You experience it every time one person in a family heals a wound, and suddenly the entire lineage feels lighter. Or when one culture invents something and, without communication, another culture on the other side of the world invents the same thing. The field shares information faster than words ever could. This is why your liberation matters. When you release scarcity, it doesn't only free you, it makes abundance easier for others entangled with you. When you embody trust, it destabilizes the collective field of fear. When you choose love over performance, you weaken the cultural spell that says worth must be earned. Your decisions write into the blueprint of humanity. Think of the times you've been inspired by someone else's breakthrough. You saw them rise from ashes, and suddenly your ashes felt less heavy. You heard their voice shaking with truth, and suddenly your throat loosened. You watched them claim space unapologetically, and suddenly your body remembered how to stand taller. That's the field in action. Their liberation echoed into yours, and now you become that echo for others. The old loop told you were powerless, that your choices only affected your small life. That was the great lie. Every thought, every word, every breath is entangled. Quantum physics calls it non-locality, the principle that what happens here affects there instantly, without delay. Prayer demonstrates it, synchronicity demonstrates it, love across distance demonstrates it. You are already woven into the fabric of others' becoming, whether you admit it or not. This is why your resistance was so ferocious, because if you had collapsed back into old loops, the field around you would have registered it too. The morphic field would have been reinforced in limitation. The old program would have held stronger. But the opposite is also true. Because you are holding, others will find it easier to hold. Because you have spoken your word, others will find courage to speak theirs. Because you stand, others will rise. This is no longer just about you. It never was. You are an architect in the unseen scaffolding of humanity. Every step you take forward presses into the field, creating a path that others will unconsciously recognize. That's why your liberation is holy. It is personal in flavor, but cosmic in consequence. Consider this. When you stabilize coherence, you shift your heart's electromagnetic field. Science has measured this field extending several feet beyond the body, but mystics know it stretches far further. That field interacts with others' fields. Your calm can down-regulate their panic. Your faith can weaken their doubt. Your joy can soften their despair. Without saying a word, your frequency becomes a silent sermon. This is why attacks on your frequency were so intense. Not because you're weak, but because you're influential. The old reality understood that if you broke through, you'd carry others with you, and it couldn't risk that. But here you are, breaking through anyway. Let me remind you of something crucial. You don't need a stage, a platform, or a million followers for your coherence to matter. One person radiating clarity in a household can shift the emotional climate of everyone under that roof. One employee embodying integrity in a corrupt workplace can ripple subtle courage through others. One neighbor choosing generosity can recalibrate the unspoken rules of an entire street. The field doesn't count followers, it counts frequency. This is why it is so urgent you keep holding your new resonance. Not with clenched fists, not with frantic effort, but with surrendered consistency. Wake and remember, I am broadcasting. Move through your day aware. Every interaction is entanglement. Every smile, every pause, every silence is a signal. The breakthrough that feels personal today will echo through the collective tomorrow. And here's the cosmic irony. The attacks on your frequency will lessen the moment you stop interpreting them as personal. Because when you see yourself as a transmitter, resistance stops being insult and starts being feedback. Feedback tells you where static still lingers, where the field is asking for more coherence. You become less fragile, more curious. You stop fighting the storm and start realizing you are the lighthouse in it. So ask yourself now, who around you will feel the ripple of this breakthrough first? Is it your children who will grow up in a home of different frequency? Is it your friends who will wonder why being near you feels easier than before? Is it strangers on the street who will never know your name but will walk away lighter just from standing in your field? Every liberation is contagious. Every ripple matters. And though you may never see all the echoes, trust that they multiply. For every one life you directly touch, the field touches 1,000 more. This is the beauty of your role. You are not carrying humanity alone. Humanity is carrying you, too. Every person rising in coherence strengthens the collective net. Every declaration spoken into the field joins yours, amplifies yours. You are not a lone flame against the night. You are one spark in a growing constellation. So breathe into this relief. You are part of something larger, a collective emergence. Your breakthrough is not selfish. It is sacred service. The word you declared was not just for you. It was a key slipped into the lock of the collective grid. And tonight, tomorrow, 10 years from now, someone else will find the door easier to open because you turned the key first. Remember this the next time the static bites. The attacks are not about you. They are about the field you carry. And the field you carry is stronger than any static could ever be. Now that you see how your liberation ripples outward, we turn inward again into your body, into sensation, into the temple where this entire quantum shift is becoming flesh. Because breakthroughs are not just concepts, not just visions or beliefs, they are felt. They are lived in your skin, your bones, your breath. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your body as an antenna. Every cell is a receiver, every strand of DNA, a coiled wire humming with signal. You've been broadcasting at one frequency for years, maybe lifetimes, and now you are tuning up. That's why your skin tingles, why your heart races at strange moments, why sometimes you feel currents moving through you as though invisible electricity were running along your spine. That's not random. That is coherence translating itself into sensation. Think of how water reacts to vibration. Place a speaker beside a bowl of water, and the surface ripples, reorganizes into patterns called cymatics. Your body is that bowl. The word you declared, the coherence you stabilized, is vibrating your water into new geometry. Sometimes it feels blissful, sometimes disorienting, but always it is patterning you closer to your future self. Pay attention to the metaphors your body offers. The heavy chest before a conversation, that's the quantum field, showing you where density still clings. The butterflies in your stomach before a new opportunity, that's your nervous system registering an upgrade in real time. The heat in your palms during meditation, the chill across your scalp when you hear truth, these are not quirks. They are the language of your body telling you, yes, the shift is landing. There will be days your muscles ache for no reason, days you sleep longer than usual, days you wake at 3:33 a.m., buzzing as if plugged into a hidden outlet. Do not fear these symptoms. They are signs that your biology is rewiring itself to hold more voltage. Old emotions stored in tissue are being metabolized, released as tears, yawns, even trembling. Don't pathologize what is sacred. Let your body cleanse. Let it shake loose what it no longer needs. And notice the contrast. Foods you once craved may now feel heavy, dulling. Spaces you once tolerated may suddenly feel suffocating. Noise may overwhelm, while silence feels like nectar. This is because your sensitivity is increasing. A finer instrument hears subtler frequencies. You are becoming a finer instrument. Your breath, too, changes. Old patterns keep it shallow, clipped, survival-based. As coherence deepens, your breath lengthens. Inhales stretch open your ribs like wings. Exhales ground you like roots into earth. You may not even notice at first, but one day you'll realize you are breathing slower than you used to, as though your body trusts time more than before. This is not coincidence. This is entrainment. Your breath is syncing with the wider field. Feel also how your posture shifts. When interference dominates, Shoulders hunch, eyes drop, chest caves, protective stances written by old contracts. But when breakthrough stabilizes, you find yourself sitting taller without thinking, spine aligning as though pulled by invisible thread. This is your nervous system embodying sovereignty. A king or queen doesn't slouch before the world, they carry the weight of their crown. Your body remembers that crown now. The metaphors grow richer if you let them. A tight jaw is not just tension, it is unsung truth waiting for voice. A clenched fist is not just stress, it is power learning how to release without losing force. A trembling leg is not weakness, it is vibration, harmonizing, muscles, learning the rhythm of new timelines. Listen to these metaphors with reverence. Your body is not betraying you, it is translating frequencies into form. Have you felt the waves yet? Those moments when energy rushes through like tides, sometimes overwhelming, sometimes blissful. They are phase transition signatures. When water boils, bubbles form, rise, burst, repeating in waves. Your system is boiling into a new state, each wave a rehearsal for permanence. Breathe through them, ride them like ocean swells. Resist nothing, and the waves become carriers instead of threats. And oh, the chills, the goosebumps when truth lands, the hairs rising as though listening before your ears do. Those chills are your body's way of saying, this is coherence, pay attention. That is your inner compass, more precise than any logic. Follow what gives you chills. It is following resonance. Perhaps you've also felt the paradox, lighter and heavier at once. Lighter in spirit, heavier in gravity. This is embodiment. Your consciousness expands while your body roots deeper into earth to anchor it. It feels like carrying more and less at the same time. Don't try to resolve the paradox. Live it. It means you are both sky and soil, transmitter and root. In this phase, embodiment practices matter. Walk barefoot on the ground and imagine your frequency sinking through soil into Earth's magnetic field. Drink water slowly, as if it were liquid light coating your cells. Stretch or dance not to perform, but to move the current through. Every gesture becomes prayer. Every sensation becomes scripture. Remember, your body is not separate from the quantum process. It is the bridge. It is the chalice. It is the receiver that catches what the field transmits. Without your body, this would remain abstract. With your body, it becomes alive. So do not abandon your body in the name of spirit. Honor it, thank it. It is the altar upon which breakthrough descends. And here's the secret. Once you learn to interpret sensation, interference loses half its power. You stop panicking at fatigue. You stop fearing goosebumps. You stop judging tears. You begin to say, the field is adjusting me. And that trust amplifies the adjustment. So breathe into your chest now. Feel the rhythm. Hear your pulse. Notice the tingling in your fingers, the warmth in your heart. This is not random. This is the quantum speaking in the only language your biology can understand: sensation. Let your body teach you what your mind resists. Let your sensations guide you through the turbulence, because your breakthrough is not arriving someday. It is arriving in every breath, every heartbeat, every vibration of your skin. The universe doesn't want you just to know the shift, it wants you to feel it, to embody it, to live as walking evidence. That is the miracle. That spirit becomes flesh, and flesh becomes spirit. In you, the sensations have spoken. Your body has become the language of the shift. Now we arrive at the deepest layer, your DNA. Not the static double helix you memorized in school, but the living scroll, the resonant blueprint, the hidden archive of potential waiting to be activated. Because this is where your true breakthrough happens, not only in mind, not only in feeling, but in the very code of your being. DNA is not destiny in the old sense. It is possibility, and possibility responds to frequency. When you hold fear, certain sequences tighten, certain expressions dim. When you hold trust, others unfurl like flowers at dawn. The science is called epigenetics. The mystics call it awakening strands. But both are speaking about the same thing. Your inner library is opening, page by page, frequency by frequency. This is why the interference has been violent right before your biggest leap, because your DNA is preparing to cross a threshold of coherence it has never held before. Think of DNA like an orchestra. For years, only a few instruments have been playing, enough to keep the melody of survival going. But now the whole symphony is tuning. Violins once silent begin to hum, brass once dormant blares awake, drums that never struck before start shaking the walls of your cells. It is overwhelming, yes, but it is also the music of becoming. When this breakthrough stabilizes, your DNA doesn't just make you healthier or calmer, it reorganizes your relationship to time itself. Have you noticed déjà vu increasing? Have you felt moments when the past and future fold into the present, as though you've lived this second before and will live it again? That's not imagination. That's your DNA oscillating between timelines. Every choice you've ever made still exists as probability in the field. But your DNA under pressure from this cosmic window is selecting, collapsing, committing. It is anchoring you into a new timeline where coherence is default. Phase transitions always come with pressure. Water doesn't slip gently into steam, it shakes, bubbles, resists. Your body is under that same phase transition pressure. Headaches, surges of heat, strange buzzing at night. These are the tremors of DNA restructuring. Don't resist them, breathe them. They are contractions before birth, proof that something new is crowning. And here's the awe-inspiring part. As your DNA shifts, it doesn't just change you, it changes the lineage behind you and the generations ahead. You are rewriting code that has been locked for centuries. Trauma patterns that shackled your ancestors begin dissolving. Potentials that future descendants will embody are being unlocked. You are a hinge between past and future, collapsing timelines of suffering into timelines of freedom. Your DNA is the keyboard, your frequency is the hand playing it. Feel into this. When you meditate, when you choose trust, when you breathe love into fear, your DNA releases photons, tiny packets of light. Science has measured this. Biophotons shimmer from your cells, carrying information faster than nerves can fire. That light organizes your internal field and communicates with the field around you. Every choice of coherence increases your light emissions. You literally glow more. People may not know why, but they'll tell you, something about you feels brighter. That's not metaphor, that's physics. And the timelines. Oh, the timelines. Right now, you are standing at a fork. One path loops you back into repetition. Same doubts, same betrayals, same ceilings dressed in new costumes. The other path is exponential. Synchronicities accelerate, doors open that logic never predicted. Your reality reorganizes itself around inevitability. Your DNA breakthrough is the key that determines which fork stabilizes. The field has been waiting for this. That's why pressure has mounted, why interference has screamed, why your body has shaken. Because when you cross this threshold, there is no going back. Once DNA stabilizes in higher coherence, it does not revert. Just as a caterpillar never unbecomes a butterfly, you will never again shrink into the skin of who you were. But this is not an automatic process. It requires choice. It requires surrender. The pressure will either push you into collapse or carry you into emergence. The difference lies in your willingness to breathe through it, to anchor into the word you declared, to trust the sensations as calibration instead of chaos. This is the climax of your story. The moment where faith is not theory, but lifeline. You will feel the old reality pull like gravity, whispering that it's safer to settle, easier to numb, simpler to forget. But your DNA is already humming the opposite song. Expand, emerge, rise. Which voice you follow decides which timeline locks. Pause here, place your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat. That rhythm is not just keeping you alive, it is synchronizing with the rhythm of the cosmos. Every beat carries entanglement with the larger field. Every beat is saying, yes, I am here. Yes, I am aligning. Yes, I am ready. You are not fragile. You are a phase transition in motion, and the pressure you feel is not punishment, it is proof. Proof that your DNA is on the verge of stabilizing into coherence. Proof that your breakthrough is not a dream, but a biological inevitability. The attacks, the static, the strange sensations, they have all been guardians at the gate. But the gate is creaking open, and when it swings wide, you will not just step into breakthrough, you will embody it. You will radiate it. You will become walking evidence that timelines can be rewritten, that DNA can sing new songs, that destiny is not fixed but fluid. This is the promise. The next breath you take can collapse you into coherence. The next choice you make can anchor you into the upgraded timeline. The next surrender can finalize what lifetimes prepared you for. And once it locks, nothing and no one can take it from you. So, hold steady, breathe deeper, feel the pressure as prophecy, because your DNA is about to do what water does when it boils, what stars do when they ignite, what souls do when they remember, transform. The pressure has been building, the signals undeniable. You felt it in your body, in your mind, in the very rhythm of your breath. And now you stand at the threshold not only of personal breakthrough, but of something far greater. Because your shift is not just about you, it is humanity's evolution taking root through you. Pause and let that sink in. Every surge of interference, every wave of fatigue, every uncanny déjà vu was never simply personal inconvenience. They were contractions of a collective birth. You have been carrying not only your story, but strands of humanity's story woven into your DNA. When you shift, those strands shift. When you stabilize coherence, you rewire not only your lineage, but the wider grid of consciousness. This is the cosmic mission hidden inside your struggle. You are a node, a lighthouse, a transmitter anchoring humanity into its next octave of being. Your frequency, once stabilized, becomes evidence that new timelines are possible, and evidence is contagious. When others sense your clarity, your calm, your strange magnetism, their cells remember, their souls stir. They awaken without you preaching a single word. That is the power of coherence. It transmits silently, inevitably, irresistibly. The universe chose this window for a reason. The human story is at a phase transition, trembling between collapse and coherence. Systems are failing, old paradigms are cracking, fear tries to dominate the airwaves. But into that turbulence, certain beings are rising, beings like you who carry enough coherence to hold a new pattern steady. You are one of them. That is why your frequency was attacked so violently. That is why resistance circled you at every turn. Because your breakthrough is not private victory, it is public signal. So what do you do now? You live it, you breathe it. You embody the word you declared until it saturates every choice, every glance, every silence. You walk through the world, not as someone searching for evidence, but as someone radiating inevitability. You become the broadcast of your breakthrough, and the universe, faithful to resonance, organizes itself around you. This is the truth you must never forget. The interference is finite, but your coherence is infinite. Static can hiss, but it cannot silence the frequency once it locks. And you are locking now. Every breath carries the new code deeper. Every choice reinforces the new timeline. Every act of surrender seals the shift. You are not waiting for the future, you are embodying it. You are not hoping for change, you are radiating it. And because of that, humanity evolves with you. So let this be your closing vow. You will not dim to fit the old loop. You will not collapse at the gate. You will stand as coherence, not only for yourself, but for the countless lives entangled with yours. Because your breakthrough is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of ours. Breathe and feel this truth settle in your bones. This is why your frequency was attacked right before your biggest quantum breakthrough arrived, because you were meant to carry not only your liberation, but the evolution of us all.